All right, so the claim being responded, or what I'm refuting right now, is the claim that the growing of hemp would bring various benefits to the United States. The three secondary claims that were made are: first, hemp is a growing industry that can boost our economy. Second, hemp creates job opportunities. And third, hemp products are more efficient and environmentally friendly than their competitors. Now, two of the claims I will be arguing against is the first claim is problematic in the sense that the evidence used to support the claim about hemp is a growing industry that can boost our economy is not an official U.S. estimate. And the second secondary claim that hemp creates job opportunities is problematic in the sense that the evidence used is not credible. Now, for the first secondary claim, hemp is a growing industry that can boost our economy, the figures stated on the market value, which was $450 million, by the online article, What is Hemp? By the Hemp History Week, are based on estimates from Hemp Industries Association, or HIA. Now, the problem with this estimate, according to the Congressional Research Service report for Congress, which is much more reliable, much more credible, which was done in March 21st of 2013, states that there is no official estimate of the value of the U.S. sales on hemp-based products. Now, based on these two details, the first being that the estimate came from an industry advocate, and the second statement from the CRS report for Congress undermines the secondary claim that hemp is a growing industry that can boost the U.S. economy. Now, my response for secondary claim 2 about hemp creates job opportunities, the figures stated on the online article, instead of soybeans, hemp, and kenaf by Sally Fallon, about the new Canadian crop farmers making $250 per acre of hemp, was based on a 2004 study. A study that was done nearly 10 years ago. So, in conclusion, the lack of evidence and outdated support undermines the secondary conclusion that hemp creates job opportunities. Now, the whole claim in itself that the growing of hemp would bring various benefits in the United States solely focuses on the benefits of hemp from an industrial standpoint. The secondary claims stated do not account for and actually leave out, which could be perhaps the biggest asset of the term benefits, in the primary claim that hemp would bring various benefits in the United States, which is it acceptable to the citizens of the United States of America? It so happens that according to the CRS report of Congress, the National Alliance for Health and Safety, as part of the Drug Watch International, claims that the proposals to reintroduce hemp as an agricultural crop are merely a strategy by international pro-druggy lobby to legalize cannabis and other illicit substances. The California Narcotic Officers Association claimed that allowing for industrial hemp production would undermine state and federal enforcement efforts to regulate marijuana production, since they claim the two crops are not distinguishable through ground or aerial surveillance, but would require costly and time-consuming lab work to be conducted. This group also claims that these similarities would create an incentive to use hemp crops to mask illicit marijuana production, since marijuana is such a lucrative cash crop. Concerns about the potential leakages to the growing and use of illegal drugs are also expressed by some parent and community organizations, such as Drug Free America Foundation Incorporated and Parents Resource Institute for Drug Education, or PRIDE. In order for hemp to be industrialized in the United States of America, the plant itself must be legalized to avoid the red tape. As you can see, the industrialization of hemp, or more specifically, cannabis sativa L, to bring so-called various benefits do not account for the acceptability of our fellow Americans. To reiterate, the first secondary claim about hemp is a growing industry that can boost our economy. The evidence that is used to support that claim is not official by U.S. standards. And the secondary claim, hemp creates job opportunities, are based on a 10-year-old study. And as we all know, the economy changes drastically in 3 or 4 years. So given that these two, and along with the fact that the claim claims that it will bring various benefits, but only focuses on one type of benefit, but does not account for the acceptability of the American people. All this together undermines the secondary claims that are used to support the overall claim, the growing of hemp would bring various benefits in the United States.
All right, well, the start is pretty clear. You set up what the main issues are, and you're following the advocate's claim, which I think is pretty good. On the first point, I think you're kind of signposting not just what the advocate's claims are, but you're also previewing what your responses to each of those claims is, and I think that gets it a little complicated, so you don't have to do quite as much previewing as you've done. On when you make the responses on the individual points, you do a pretty good job indicating what the problem is, but it would be easier if they were stated as declarative sentences. So the argument, for instance, about the true market value, what's the claim that you want us to believe here? And I think that is that this is an exaggerated estimate. That it's an industry source that's making this estimate, that the official government source says there is no way to evaluate what the economic benefit is, and therefore, as a consequence, the only information that we have here comes from a source that's potentially biased. So the notion that there's strong proof that there's an economic benefit here is based entirely on the self-interested claim of the advocate's source. That's the way you want that claim to read there. On the second point, I think that you have a good press on the argument when it comes to how old the research is and the notion that it's going to create jobs. I think that you could explain that a little bit more, but it's, you basically, at the end, you kind of come back and say, well, the economy's changed quite a bit. I don't know that it's changed so much that the number of jobs would be substantially different. I don't know that the advocate's estimate of number of jobs was very clear to begin with. So I think that there could be a little bit more elaboration on that point. The third argument that you're making basically is this big counterclaim that I think is an interesting point. If we were doing this as a debate, this would be linked to a potential disadvantage argument, and that is that basically hemp legalization is being used as a stalking horse for legalization of all forms of cannabis, and that it switches the burden to the police officers and law enforcement to be able to distinguish, which would make it more complicated, which actually has this benefit of allowing the drug industry to run basically free with what they're doing. I think that that's an interesting argument, and I don't know if it exactly responds to any of the claims that the advocate's presenting, but it does respond to a hypothetical policy argument that the advocate might be suggesting here. And I think that as far as you went with it, that was probably a reasonable interpretation there. I thought you had a pretty good summary of what your arguments were at the end so that we know why it is that we should be taking the position that you take also. All right, thank you.